So one is in finish, one is testing and testing. Okay. Now if you go to test cases, so you see you can assign within a test plan. For each test case, you can assign testers. Obviously, yeah. For each test case, you'll have to assign a tester, right? So this you can do. Probably there is some UI issue with it. So probably if I show, okay. So just make sure that tester column is you selected, then only it will show up. Okay. So why this test case I can no I have chosen Agatha, I can Betty, I can choose. So this way within a test plan you can assign in a test the different test cases to different users. Okay. So you have no visibility which who is assigned to which test case, right? Within a test plan, right? Okay. Just save it. So this is done. Go back. Edit it. So here also I can assign it. So you can within a test plan you can assign your test cases to different testers, right? Okay. So this is one thing. Test execution. Second test. Okay, let's suppose I start this. Okay, let's start. So now see, I've started one test plan. Okay, and within that a test case. So now, if suppose sometimes happens you started testing and then you see okay, probably the environment is not set. You don't have access or the environment is not. So there is some other issues, right? So now either you can leave it like that and wait for the things to solve or get fixed. Probably the system itself, the integration there within your test, within your testing, you need you could that some integration is required between systems or users, something, right? And that is not in place, right? So either you can leave it here, but obviously within the test plan, the test run, these will have no timeline. So then if you leave it like that, it might show up that okay, this test case or test run is still running since last few days. No, started on 15th and is still running, right? So what you can do in that case, I had shown you yesterday withdraw, right? So you can withdraw the test run. So withdraw, what it does, once you withdraw, so there is no test execution, no details for that particular run. So it also doesn't hamper your overall reporting, right? Means let's suppose if it's there, so it could show you, right, like that there is one test, a test within a, because if within a test plan, if there is a one test case which is no pending, so you cannot complete the test plan also. Sorry, then it shows up that okay, this test plan, or once let's suppose you complete it also, that it show that okay, this test case had run for these many days and you probably could not at least report it higher ups, no, because it was pending some other issue. So it's better you withdraw it, so that test run will not show up in the reporting or there in the status, right? And then once the everything is the issues which for which you had withdrawn it, once it is fixed, so you can again start a new run for that test case, right? So it has just it happens once you start a test case, you find that okay, this issue, it's not a like a error or a something, but it's not dependent on something, or dependent probably on some other piece of code which has still not moved into the system, right? So that you cannot mm, classify as an error or a fail, right? It is more of a dependent, right? More of a planning miss where this test case or test run should have been executed post this particular change or this particular item, right? So in that case you can withdraw, so that they probably, just as simple as that, there won't be any record for this particular test run. So then you have a fresh, your reporting doesn't get affected, or you don't have a red mark in there that okay, this test run was waiting for a long time, or this test execution was waiting, no, did not happen in time, the test plan could not be completed, right? Something like that from that side. Okay, so you can withdraw it, test and withdraw, and go back. So again, it is at 0%. So, and obviously from the test execution also, you can open the test preparation app, like if you need to do any changes or anything, right? So you can do that, right? So again, once you are like, as in other tools happen, when you assign a test case or a test plan to a tester, yeah, probably they are not going to get an email notification, but they will get the notification section is the one which is used by SAP to notify. So once you log in, the tester or the concerned person logs in into his or her Cloud ALM tenant through his or her ID, they will be able to see that okay, this test case test plan has been assigned to me. When is the start date? When is the end date? Right. So then they can start work again. You don't have to like yeah. One thing that is needed, or as a process, people should keep checking their notification. Maybe once in a day would be fine, or but probably since because it could be in a big team, you probably obviously the best option would have been email notification. You get an email, okay, this test case has been assigned to you, like it is there in solution manager test suite management, that you get an email notification as soon as a test case or anything is assigned to you, or right. But that is not there. The notification or the mode of communication is the notification. So once you assign it to me, I'll get a notification in my within my user space, that login. When I log in, I'll see a notification that this test case has been assigned to Ratan, or this test case has been assigned to GVK test anyone, right? So you can just check. And for other areas also within Cloud ALM, notification is the place where, like, even if I make you responsible, like we can, whenever you choose someone like responsible for requirement or for approval, you change it that responsible person, or even for a user story. So those notifications will come up in your notification section in your Cloud login. Like once you log in through your Cloud LM tenant for your project, for your customer client, you will see all everything which is it gets assigned to you. Not only test cases, but the test cases needs it more, that you should know, the tester should know that what test cases has been assigned to them. So from here they can see, right now there is no email workflow as such to notify any person for that matter. Like across, there is no automatic workflow of email notification or something other, right? You have it like there is something in, at least in the implementation part there is no. In operations part there is, where when you are setting up monitoring, and then you can trigger, you can create events, and events can trigger notifications to concerned person. So on the operations section, because it is more from the monitoring perspective, and monitoring and maintenance, so there you need this kind of setup where people get notified as soon as an issue is caught or highlighted. So in that way it is there. Okay, fine. So I'll start here. So if you skip a step, it will ask you, you can say, do you want to set all previous test action without a status to pass? So it tells you that, okay, you have skipped a step, right? So I'll just save and close it. So it is 1%, the progress is 1%. You can resume it, right? So you can save your, like, you can do the testing of the test case in multiple iteration. It will save your work, and you can resume it from there. Okay, so fine. Anything you want to ask? Any doubts you have till now? The overall testing piece. So you remember we had created a defect. So either you can create a defect from here or from the test case if there is a failure, right? And you can change its status. It's in progress. Okay, you can put your comments. Okay, create a comment. Okay, save it. So like this, the normal life cycle of a defect that is supported by Cloud. So you don't have to do it. Again, you can download the defects for analysis, for again creation of using template, right? And you can also create a template, right? We had created a template. Yeah, we had created a template. So we can test effects. So just create one. So we have created another. Obviously, you can mass edit also in more or less all the because defect is also a task type. So all of those you can keep do mass edit also. Plus, again, similar to, like, if you want to know for update, you can download. Like, let's suppose we'll download. Only we want to change the status to in progress. Yes, change its start date to 15th. So we have all the options will be here. Teams, probably. Let's copy. And we'll just save it, and we'll try to upload it. Update. So during pass, it just checks whether everything is as per template and as per the syntax or not. You see status has changed and team also has changed. Obviously, you can change.
Just a question. For the rising a defect, probably there would be something transport request, right? So here we have that an option to create transport T, how that will link to this.
Like the defects within defects, yeah, there is no, like, there is no option. You have to again go back to the feature, because you'll already have a feature for this particular for this piece, whichever test case or whichever, so that particular development. So you'll have to again
Yeah,
go back,
correct,
but from your
correct. So that particular transport, which is already moved to in pre-production or something like an already deployed. So we found there will be defect in that in a UTPs or after the moving into production. So in that scenario, So somewhere we should have that new TO, which is linked to this defect to be resolved, right? So
yeah, no, means we have now TOC. So till pre-pod, if you want that, so it could be that you only work with TOCs till pre-pod. You don't work with transport. So as soon as once your development is done, when you release or change the status of feature, a TOC gets created and that gets moved to your quality of pre-pod depending on your transport route. So yeah, you are correct that there is no direct relation like for this particular defect which feature or which transport would be worked upon. So that is there.
obviously for the test defect, we should have something different transport request to capture that defect functionality or something technically what has been done, right? So how we are going to manage in this situation in the defect phase?
Yeah, means there is no direct. Yeah, that option is still not there in Cloud LM. And because you remember I was telling you that like if I open a test case, okay. So the thing you can do probably is like the user story is already linked to that particular test case, right? Yeah, it is manual. There is no direct traceability or relation where you can have the particular defect. If you have a new defect and you want to, because in probably as far as my understanding, even if a defect is there, you probably will use the same the same transport for which you have worked, for which particular piece the defect has come. So you have no need of a new transport, but yes, that relation probably you will not be able to.
Just a question. Why do you think that new transport is which is not required? And that is a one basic question. And the second question is that in what do you think that defect where it can be finded called as a defect? In which stage of the system landscape?
Sorry, what is the
As per
second
your
question?
understanding, defect in which
Huh?
stage we'll try to identify as a defect? In which stage? That's my first question.
Oh, it's no. In which stage? What do you want to identify?
Say we are identifying as a defect. What do you mean by defect?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So, in which stage, we will be able to, according to your understanding, according to this particular process, can identify as a defect?
During a test cycle, then it could be any test cycle, right? UAT
No,
or
no,
SIT or.
no. I don't think so. If there is any defect, we can identify the FPT phase or SID phase. There we have a transport request. We can correct it. So, do you think that we call it as a defect?
See, again, it depends on how in your project how you have decided. Again, because I said, because you remember in a feature you don't have many statuses. Like it's only like you can hand over to test, and then the next step is that you approve it for production. So probably, but you will have maybe if it's a four system landscape, or if you, as you said, you are doing SIT, UAT, FUT. So all these test cycle probably will have to be covered when it's in handover to test, or it's handed over to test.
Okay,
That
let me
yeah,
understand from my point of view, Ratan. So
yeah,
here
yeah.
the many consultants are. So guys, so yeah, could you please give a comment? So which stage you call it as a defect?
Nathan, it's more of a process-oriented question from Yati.
Yeah, that I got to know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, what process you have defined for your project? Because see,
So he's
Cloud
talking
LM,
about standard. It's not talking about any project specific. Even he's talking about a very standard process.
so when you're doing your testing, if you see an issue, you will create a defect, right?
See, that Yati's question is when we are going to create a defect, right?
Correct. In which stage you call it as
In
a
this stage,
defect? You call
right.
it as a defect. In
Mhm.
which stage?
Means what are the different stages you mean here?
Basically, what is the defect,
Let-
Ratan? What is the defect? When it will be raised? When defect will come into the picture in the
when you're
testing?
when you are testing, and if you see an issue with the testing, you'll create a defect. So it could come in any stage. Sorry if I'm not understanding your question, but it's like when you're doing your testing,
Okay,
and
Ratan.
obviously not during unit testing, but
No.
when you're doing your.
Okay, Ratan, let me, no, I'm giving you my point. So let's discuss together, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
See, now we have developed something, right? We developed
right.
something like that, and now we left out some of the, configuration in the functionally left out, even though test can be passed, okay? That doesn't matter. When we verified that, test in the FUT, we didn't find out, okay? So that is a one stage. Then we move the changes into SIT. then that is also test is done. Okay, that is a quality stage. That will be pre-production. There will be UAT phase. There will be business user from the test. Depends upon the our test result. We provide them. So this is how that test has been looked out on all the stages. Then we will move the changes into production. These are the four stages, Ratan. Okay. In which stage do you think that what call it as a we can identify as a defect? You getting my point?
Yeah, I got your point.
It's a FUT stage, SAT, and another one UAT. Then we will move into production. Then will be the business people will be validate, right? Correct.
Correct.
So then
See,
they will give a confirmation that this result is fine. Then we are getting that actually what aspect of the requirement rise. So in all the stages, in which stage you think that we covered as a defect?
no, okay. Just answer me one question is that in all these stages, as you said, your test case or test step would be same. No, right? It would differ.
Correct.
Correct. Correct. Correct. So if even if let's suppose there is even if there are different steps in the right. So if let's suppose in SIT, probably the defects should get created in UAT state. But I'm saying in your SIT, if there is an issue, so how do you, because you don't have anything else here in Cloud ALM to means let's suppose there is an issue with when you're doing your SIT or your FUT, then how do you capture that issue? That's what and you have to create a defect, right? Because I'm not saying it's not defects in the true sense, but in the sense there is no other way to document it, capture it in Cloud ALM, right? So I'm saying obviously probably the defects you what I think my understanding is that what you're trying to say is that probably defects should be created in UAT. I agree to that. But I'm saying let's suppose in your FUT also there is some issue. I'm not saying a major issue, but there is some issue. But then how do you probably someone has to work to fix it. Or probably you can bypass it, but probably you want to make a note of it, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll come
so
to
how
that
do you
point. Now,
so
if there is any FUT phase, it's on our end that transport is not, it is with that. We can change the status. We can do that correction in the test itself. We can identify that. So I don't think so. As per so far my understanding, my experience, so that particular stage will not call it as a defect because the why I'm coming to this point is that Ratan, so you were mentioning that defect. Yes, I agree. So why you want to, in the defect, if you identify that defect number, it will be created. Right? There's a defect number which you created, and for that also you need to make some documentation. Correct? For that we have to do some testing for that particular stage also. Then we have to see that yes, whether that working or not. Then consolidatively we'll create a one particular test script with all the screenshot capture. Then we'll send it for the business approval to okay or get the approval, right, to move the changes if all the thing is okay, correct? So my concern here is that when you raise a tunnel defect, there will be something transport request. Say for example, if you say assume that transport request is not required for the defect, even though if you say, then how that an existing the transport request can be managed with the defect identified? Is that my question is clear, brother?
Yeah, your question is clear. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. That functionality or that capability is still not there in the defect management of Cloud ALM. So probably you'll have to, if a transport is required, probably, and that transport would probably be part of a feature. So probably you can, when you are putting the comment for that defect, you have to mention, yeah, it's like a manual effort and there is
Okay,
no.
so you are saying that so if there is a defect is raised, then there will be a feature we need to create and we have to assign to the defect. That's what you're saying
No,
that?
no, means you can't assign it. There is no, I'm saying that you can mention it in the comment. Okay, this defect is worked through this transport or feature. If you want, if there is a new if there is a new need of a new transport, right? So you can put that in the comment for that defect that okay, this defect is being worked through this transport or this feature, right? Or if in
Well, I agree. I agree. So I think that we are both are correct. Okay, so then where we can correlate between the transport request, which are actually working on the defect, which is linked to our defect. Say, for example, you created it in the transport request. Obviously, we have the option to create in the features, right? Transport request. So from there, how we can link to that defect?
You don't
Do you
you
have
don't
any
have
option to?
no, that's what I mean. Like there is no direct, or you cannot have a direct linkage to that defect and feature.
Okay, how we
Yeah.
can link that particular transport? In which way? Do we need to create a task and create a features or something reference? The defect details should be keep it in as a link or something like that. How we can manage this particular scenario?
Yeah, as I said, there is no direct linkage. The best way you can do is because when you define your test case, you define it under a solution scope, right? So probably you can create another feature, or you can create a
Okay.
user story for that particular. Under that solution process, you can again create a user story, and that user
Mhm.
story you can again create a feature and have that linkage, and then work on it. And obviously in the defects you have to, there's no other way but you have to put a comment that okay, this defect again is being worked through this, we have created a particular feature for this, to work on this defect. So probably you can link it at the solution process level, because that is the common thread between a
Mhm.
test case. And yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, and you can again, like within that test case, like you have user story, so you can attach that user story again. Probably you requirement, you're not going to create another, it would be one requirement again. But probably if it's a defect and you have to again rework it, probably you can create a new user story, a new user story for it. You can link it here, and you can again you can create a feature which you can link to that user story and feature, and then you can work on it. But yeah, you are right in the saying that yeah, it doesn't have that linkage. Okay.
If you can please come back to your defect screen, we can look into that one out. That option is available. Yeah, click any of it. This is a disk, right?
This is a
Yes.
defect.
Okay.
Means you can like again have a reference, you can create a subtask, but probably you will not have, it would be like loosely coupled linkage with from from a feature to this particular defect, right? So
Okay, got your point. Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you.
so yeah, so because yeah, see, this is not still, it's not a mature product, it's still evolving every day or every quarter they are releasing new features. So this is not a mature product, so probably
No, I understand because in the project we are going to use this one. If my
correct,
team
correct,
will ask me the same question, so I'll be able to
right,
answer them, right?
correct, correct. Yeah, yeah.
So the same way, they may ask in a different way also. So if somebody is there who is actually in the training, if somebody their team is asking the same question, we are able to answer for them to
You
have.
should be,
Yeah, because
you
we are
should
going to
be
use this in our project. So that's a concern.
correct.
That's why I'm asking the question. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I'm probably there by the time because I think told this if I say that linkage not again to defect, but you can have, you can have a direct linkage of these test plans, test cases, user story requirement feature. So probably this is there in the pipeline. Quarter two, they will have that. Like you can have directly link. So probably it is not there in the roadmap. I saw what is there in test, but probably it is down the line that from defects, either you can create, as a feature, as you said, transport, or at least link it back, direct linkage, that there could be another tab feature or usually which can link back to that particular feature, and then you have that tagging, because that is important, right? Because in normal scenario also, once you have a defect is raised, you probably will it is going to be worked by someone, so probably you'll assign it to person, ABC, right? And then you will give a transport, like in usual in projects, if creation of a transport or change document is with the work stream lead, so like the developer will ask, please give me a transport or change document to work on it, right? So then you give it, you keep it, or maintain it in an Excel. Okay, this is the defect for my team, and these are the person assigned to the defects, and these are the transports for the change document, whatever it could be, or Jira, whatever you're using in DevOps, whether you're using. So these are the line items or the specific IDs for those transports, which are the one worked upon by different people, right? So that you are going to maintain it in an Excel. Right? So probably yeah, that is not like it directly, yeah, but you have to like live with it, or probably down the line it will be there. So that you probably it would be there, because it's a good point that you should have some linkage directly to, because defects is going to be worked in like 99% cases. It is going to be worked through a transport, right? Any change you do will have to move to either the existing transport for the same piece of work for the same user story, or you create a new transport for the defect, right? So for tracking purpose, you do, for defect you do a new transport, right? Because so that you know which was the original transport, what was the defect, or in some cases they use the same original transport so that all the changes move in one single transport only for that particular piece. So yeah, that you will have to do it manually for the time. This doesn't support completely that option. Okay, good that you raised that question. We had a good discussion. So yeah, like this, anyone has any other query, anything to ask or anything? As I said also that right now upload of, or creation of test cases in mass through Excel upload is not available. You can do it through the update option. Okay, so, but that is there in the plan, in quarter 2, and with the highest priority. So you will very shortly get that you will be able to create how we were doing update, right? Similarly, there would be an Excel template which you can download and fill up all the details and just upload it, and you can create test cases in mass through an Excel. And probably for your project, before you reach the testing cycle or phase, I think that feature would be probably will be there in Cloud ALM. So that is there. But for now, if you have to create, or there is a separate detailed test case, you have a reusable item you want to use. So what you can do is just create what we were doing to show how to bring the best practices, right? So you can create dummy, means for the namesake you can create dummy namespaces, and you can create a dummy or a placeholder kind of test case. At least this will save some time. I'm not saying it is a very good workaround, but just save it when there's nothing. General information. You can download it, okay, and then whatever is your, you can just kind of update, because update option right now is there, and they are going to use the same functionality to give you the mass creation update, right? So you can do that at least for now, that you create dummy test cases, just download it, then you update the Excel with what your whatever you have, reusable entity from some other project, some other test cases similar, right, which you want to use. You can put, but obviously you have to see the formatting. But since it is a blank, there won't be much. You can use it, and you'll upload it. So your test, you can at least work with that till the mass creation of test cases option is not available in Cloud ALM. Okay, good.
Hey, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
Okay, fine. I think maybe the analytics is there, but probably we'll take a look later. So yeah, for testing, right? That's it. We don't. There's whatever I had to cover is covered. If none of you have any questions, we can move to the next topic. Okay, fine. Sorry, someone had some doubt regarding documents, or
Regarding documents uploading from the Excel, you showed now that.
can you share your screen? Just show me, if possible.
From this system, I cannot access. I actually tried for my personal system.
Personal. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were trying to upload here, right? To create a document.
Yeah, upload it. Actually, downloading the template and then uploading by editing the template.
Okay.
In the documents.
I think
there is an option for upload, right? Beside that.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm just. I had a file already created. I'm just.
Okay.
Okay. So the documents did get. Basically, you have to just. You get the once you're uploading, you'll see. Like I got that error. You see, right? Reference user is not available. So for now, I kept it blank. Reference section. And the owner, like Agatha's actual ID, what is there? I didn't know, so I just removed it. So probably once it's just with something which is not right in that template you are using, right? So you just check the errors which they highlight and then work on it. So it is nothing like it should not be any other issue. Just that probably when, like, let's suppose some owner, so that owner has to be in Cloud Element, so that once it is parsing that your upload file, it will see, okay, this user is there in Cloud Element or not, right? Let's suppose you are trying to keep the owner as Ratan, but I'm not there in in your tenant, so it will give an error, right? Similarly, references is a URL, a proper URL. So if you're just giving some placeholder, so just make sure you use these not the standard URL format, HTTPS or www dot whatever, right? In that way. Otherwise, it's because there are not many fields within a document, right? So the issue with upload would only be something is not right, like user is not there, or you have not followed the format. It could be anything, right? So,
Yeah. But I did not get any errors while uploading the document. I downloaded the template. Okay, made some changes in the title and added 2 or 3 rows like test doc 1, 2, 3 like that, and added the status, priority, and also the type of document. Okay, and there is a yellow row where, if you open the template, you can see. Okay, so there, just for reference purpose, I added another one, test doc 4, say for example. Okay, and when I uploaded that, it got uploaded, no errors as such. Okay, but when the document got uploaded, ideally it should be like, if I have 3 rows, okay, test doc 1, 2, 3, then there should be 3 entries here in the document section, like you have test document 12 March 3, 4, right? So that is not happening. Okay, only the yellow portion. If you download the template, there is a yellow portion. If I give like test doc 4 over there, say for example, only that one single row is created. Okay, and the rows that I added, those are not reflecting here. So just wanted to understand, like, am I doing something wrong, or the process is something else?
So what you're doing, it sounds you're doing it correct. You're doing, but probably I think if you show that, then probably I will be able to, because comment.
Do one thing, just go to the upload and download the template. Maybe I can show you. I'm not able to show in my system. Yeah, download the template once.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Did you open the template here? Example document 1, 2. Okay. So here I added in the title, say for example, test doc 1, 2, and I added 2 more rows. Okay, 3 and 4. Okay. I did not make changes to like reference and owner, because those were giving errors. So I did not make any changes. I made changes, say for example, in the status, priority, and type. Okay. And then, say for example, in the row 8, I made some changes. Okay, I renamed it to something else. So after uploading this document, this one for detailed information. Yeah. So after whatever I have written in row 8, okay, after uploading the document, that only one row is created that is having the name of whatever I'm putting in row 8, and the rest of the part that I have done, at the top, that is not reflecting. So that was my doubt.
This got created, and it took that this also as one title. Okay, so this got created, test doc 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one.
Okay, but in my system I tried, it was not creating.
Probably something, something something would have. But ideally, if there's an error, it should, maybe you can try again. I think it may be one of case. You can try again, download it and again try uploading it. It should create it, and if it doesn't create it, will probably give an error that there is some issue in your template. So you can try, and then you can let me know in the next session whether you were able to do it or not. Okay, clear, fine. So anyone has any other thing in document, like, or we are good? We can move to the next topic. Take it as a no. Fine. Just give me a second. I'll open it and share screen window.
We discussed that we can attach the snapshots while updating the pass or anything. So
right.
The space, when you upload some documents or the pictures, right? So will it impact the overall size of that ALM? Because you said ALM size is only 3 GB or that's a GB, right?
8 GB. Yeah.
So while we upload those documents or the pictures, will it impact?
I don't have actually answer for that, because actually what somewhere SAP says that your documents for storing, because probably they are eventually they are going to in documents they are going to give you that you can upload your Word document directly. So somewhere I had read, and in a preview call I had that they will not count this document as part of that 8 GB memory. But again, but this within defect, when you paste the word screenshot, probably that will not count, I think. Because I think I had mentioned this earlier, that right now what is the technical challenge is that you, per customer, you can only have one cloud ALM tenant. There is no concept of like you have solution with dev, solution with production, prod solution manager, or for any other cloud solution also you have a dev tenant, Ariba, then success factor, or success factor, anything you have at least one system other than the projects to test out things. But for cloud LM there is no, they were like, for a customer you could only request one. Even if you request, there was no it was a technical limitation, like how SAP had built it, that you could request only one tenant for yourself, for one customer. Now they are like, it is like available for general public now, just like I think last week or last week they have like that you can request for an additional tenant with, or one is like you can request for an additional tenant, and also with the existing tenant you can request for extra, that another 8 GB of memory. And that 8 GB of memory is like, no, 88 GB, and it's like, it is again consumption based if you use it, so they charge you every month, right? So, but in the same here, in this same context, for because they are going to with documents, and documents are going to use, so probably in normal SaaS kind of, probably once they start giving the option to upload document, that 8 GB would not suffice. So there was some talk that they will, I don't know where they have reached it, but for document storage they will give you, or customer can use something another, like in solution manager, or in SAP system we use content server, right, to store our PDFs and images, right, not to, so that not to burden the actual DB. So use the content server for storing PDFs, images, documents, whatever. So in similar concept, they would give you a flexibility to attach. I don't know whether it would be a content server or some a cloud DB solution. I don't know. I am not aware of it, but they are in planning that once they have that document upload. So obviously 8G will not suffice in a bigger project for a long period of time. So then they will are working on something where they give you a flexibility, or you can extend your cloud storage via some third party or some external tool, and where you can say that okay, your documents will get stored there. So this is just to answer you. But probably I think the images will also not contribute to the 8 GB memory. But again, I'm not sure because it doesn't said anything on that. Yeah. It's a good point. You can keep a note of it, and once you you would have started with your project, and with any project with Cloud ALM, SAP does a startup kickoff call. They call it they have a very nice name for it. I'm forgetting. So there maybe you can ask this query that probably we are going to effects, we are going to put images, or once you give your document. So what happens with the storage, that 8 GB we have fair users, right? 8 GB, what we do with that? The way that will get consumed quickly. So they have yeah. Yeah, thanks for raising that. Yeah. Also because it's not just the implementation area which is going to contribute. Obviously when you are implementing, you won't have the operation, but in a project is longer cycle, you done with one go live, and you have or you'll have subsequent releases, smaller releases. So it's like that your project cycle and your support cycle will run simultaneously. So support cycle contributes a lot, because a lot of monitoring raw data will get generated. You're monitoring a lot of things, lot of and you're generating you are using system health monitoring or business process monitoring. So operations area contributes more to the data there, because there's so many raw data there, right? You have CPI monitoring, whatever monitoring you could do, right? And that they keep that data. So but again, they have like a 14 day window, like they keep data only for 14 days, raw data. So then that helps in reducing your storage footprint in terms of that. Okay, fine. Okay, the next topic is use of reporting and analysis functionalities for implementation. Okay, again disclaimer. This presentation, including examples, images, and references, are provided for informational purposes only. Complying with all applicable copyright laws is the responsibility of the user. Without limiting the rights under copyright, no part of this document may be reproduced, stored, or introduced into a retrieval system or transmitted in any form or by any means. Credit shall be given to the images taken from the open source and cannot be used for promotional activities. So the agenda is we'll go through the project overview, the analytics overview, analytics and reporting, detailed analytics. We perform requirements distribution, perform a task trend analysis, explore the traceability of features. Okay, so we have during our course of the training, we have multiple times gone through the project overview page, and now you have quite a bit understanding what that overview page of the project or the project overview page looks like, right? So basically what it does, it gives you a one single pane view of whatever different things are going on in your project. It could be at the of the requirements or different kind of tasks, right? The requirement, or where are we the user stories, where are we the test cases, test plan, right? How many tasks are there, right? So requirements, task, features. So that overview in one single pane you can take. It's not like you go to feature section and there you find, okay, for my project how many features are there, or you have to go to requirement tab or requirement app and find out, okay, how many requirements are there, what is the status. You can get that view in that one project overview cycle. Obviously it means not intrusive, but you could say it gives you the status or the health of the project, how the project is doing, right? Whether we are progressing at the current state, or how are we at the current state, whether we be able to complete our deliverable within the given timeline, how the timelines are going, right? And because you would have created timelines for for different phases. You could have maybe sprint, waves, milestones, right? So based on that, it gives you a better understanding that how the health of the project is right now, whether it's in a good state or bad state. So if it is a bad state, what action? Because it will tell you, okay, where it is in bad state. In the sense, you could say there are maybe fine requirements are fine, but okay, the user stories are not moving properly. We are still lagging behind. So that information you can get. Again, you have the in project view, you have the card concept, right? You have those tiles are called cards. So depending on your suitability, you can play around with the cards, right? If you want only, if you want only, I want to see only the requirements right now. I am responsible for the requirements to getting completed, finalized in given specific time. So you will just maybe have the requirement card in your project overview, right? And you can save that view, right? In all the apps in Cloud ALM, that option is that you can have create your own view, and to have it persistent, that it is persistent, you can save it, and then once you come, it will show you your view, right? Because see, you come and filter it out, okay, you get a view, but that same thing is going to be used by the same tenant. You don't have different tenant. Same tenant is going to be used by different, same many people will come in the different apps, requirement, task, features, right? They will have their own view, right? So you can save your own view, and then you can just come and select your view, and you can have a look, right? What is your requirement, how what do you want to see, right? So that option is there in everywhere, right? Also from that cards or from the project overview, you can directly navigate, like if there's a requirement card you have on your overview page, you can directly go to that requirement section. It will take you directly to the requirement section, and you can then see more detailed requirement about it, the details what you want to see. Similarly, you can see it for task, you can see it for features, user stories, whatever you have put in your project. Or you can see based on solution processes, what is the status of requirements, how many solution processes, which solution process have how many requirements, or user story, whatever, right? So everything from those cards you can directly navigate to the particular app, right? And you can then have a detailed look at what you want to see, what is your requirement, what you're looking for it. So it's same in detail, the following option, right? You can see important KPIs for your project, navigate to other apps, right? From the project, as I said, you can navigate to requirement or task or feature, user story, task, roadmap, task, test cases, test plans, right? You can defects, you can navigate to all the more or less all the apps, right? Okay, get an overview page. So it's the same thing, right? So this is an overview. So now the overview page gives you a detailed view, right? A broader view, a high level view, right? High level monitoring of all the objects, right? How many defect, whatever, what is happening, a monitoring sense like of a high level, like from at the top, if you see, okay, how it is going, right? And then you have a details analytics page, which is which we haven't explored till now. We'll do it after this as part of the demo. So there you can drill down to the, as I've been keep saying that SAP has put a lot of effort, this traceability thing, that from any where you can go to any place, in the sense that whatever relation, like a requirement as a user story, okay, what is the state? A user story will, okay, so maybe the user story would have feature, right, or a subtask project as, right. So all these, as much traceability as could be given, SAP is trying to do that in Cloud ALM, right? Like you can have you want to have a view, okay, how the whole project from a user story perspective, right? Not a requirement, not like, I'll just try to, we'll just try to see at a user story level how the project stands, right? So then for that you need to have that traceability, right? Like let's suppose we have 108 user stories in total for the project, which we have decided will be the user. So from that level also, you can see your, how do I put it, your project, understanding, right? Or you want to see from a feature, right? There are 180 or whatever total features. You want to see the project overview from a project feature from a feature point of view, right? So then, you have a lot of traceability in analytics. We'll show that. So like from if you want to see for a particular requirement, the feature traceability, it will show you that, okay, for this requirement, this is the feature and what is the status of that feature. So you can drill down from the requirement to that feature and vice versa, right? So that is there. And it has a historical reporting also, like you can, what has happened, like in the project. Obviously you want to see, okay, in maybe, you have releases or you have waves, right? So you just want to see in wave one, what was, how we did, and why we are, maybe just to see, why the pattern, okay, maybe in wave one we took more time in testing, so maybe you can plan it accordingly for wave two, wave three, or release, right? Or as, or you could find, okay, so you have historical reporting trends and patterns in detailed analytics page, which you can refer to, just to be prepared, or just to see what were the issues, or if there were any, okay, no, we did this like this, okay, there were, why, we took less time and we are taking more time, then you can find out what was the issue. So just to see historical pattern and reporting. Okay, this is the analytics page. It looks like this. Okay, we will just take a 5 minutes break. Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think everyone is back. We can start. Okay, yeah. So the the second app, or the main app for the analytics, is the analytics overview app. So it is more detailed than project view. It has different tiles. We'll show the in the, when we do the demo, you'll come to know. So there you have like standalone analytics pages, like for user feature traceability, for task, for requirement, right? You go there, and then from there you can drill down deeper to, at to the minutest detail if you want, right? So you can drill down, right? So as I like traceability is there. SAP is focusing on traceability. Okay, so you can find grand chart, historical chart, traceability metrics, progress reports, everything you can find. We'll go through the demo, then it will become more clear. So it gives of, you can have the, view based on, your solution processes, or your process hierarchy, or task, or test cases, right? So all of those, based on those, you can have a analytical view or a detailed view, what you want to see. What, yeah, obviously it probably might not be used by everyone, but probably will be used by, the project leadership or the PMO team, right? Or means you can also use it, right, to just to see where you are, and at least it's specific to your work stream, or your means when you are in the project for your particular stream or for your particular area of work, right? You leverage it, and it is helpful in a way, right? So sorry, so this is the, like, so you have like, but this chart is it's telling you that, okay, from the solution process level, you can, like, if you want to, okay, for a solution process, how many requirements are there, that view you can have, drill down it to the requirement level, and from the requirement, obviously the requirement would have a feature, user story, or test case, right? So you can drill down for a, for a solution process at the highest, as the highest node. From there you can drill down, okay, how many requirements are there for this solution process, and okay, for this now for this requirement or these requirements, there could be multiple requirements for a particular service process. What are the features, user story, tests? So you can in a way see that, okay, for my solution process, my business process, what are the tests or the test cases or test plan? What is the status, or user story or feature, right? And so it could be that, right? Or then you could again solution process could have tasks and can have direct, right? If you remember when we are creating test package, the one thing we could assign it was solution processes, right? So you can whatever you have assigned directly to, so that you can say, okay, which test cases or test planner as test cases are assigned to my solution process, my business process, right? So that you can see right directly. And obviously with requirements you'll have task also, right? Project task or other different kind of task, right? And then task will have subtask, user story will have, so it gives you the whole view from a solution process perspective, that okay, because that is the starting point, right? You'll start your workshop based on your, the first scoping would, or first thing would be obviously the first food would be, what is the scope of the project, and the main scoping, obviously you will decide what are functionalities they are going to use the customer, and what you suggest and what not suggest. But after that you'll do the actual scoping, that okay, we have decided we're going to use Ariba, SuccessFactors, S/4HANA public cloud, but based on customers requirement, what will be the business processes will be part of this scope, right? You're not going to use all the business process. Now all the customers can't and will not use all the business process, right? They would have a specific requirement, or they would be using S/4HANA or SAP for a particular requirement, maybe for the whole enterprise itself, but they might not have some process, right? Like a utility company would use a completely different, obviously some set of processes, business process would be similar, payroll, HR, retail related, but still, but core business, right? Utility company's core business is totally different from a consumer based company or electronics company, or for the public sector or no, life science company, right? So, so it depends, right? So that scoping you have to do. So it is, so I think in a way, business process is the bed on which your project is going to, or the foundation on which your project is going to run, or you are going to support, right? So it gives you that overview from a solution process perspective, that okay, from a solution process perspective you can see, okay, what are the requirements, what are the tasks, what are the tests, and then again drill it down to the next level, right? So again it gives you, multiple options for monitoring the progress of your project, monitoring the progress of your test cycle, or of your realize, if for a realize phase, or your explore phase, deployment, or your hypercare or run. So it gives you the monitoring capability to, probably not for hypercare and run, but at least till deployment it gives you that monitoring, okay, deployment of how many features have been deployed. So you can have that view, and then you can monitor, okay, how many features are deployed, ready for deployment, right? You would have changed the status and it is ready for production, right? So you would know, okay, are we ready for deployment or not, right? So that gives you that overview, right? And obviously different teams, different people will have different reporting needs, right? The release manager would be more focused, okay, what is the deployment status of the feature, right? Test manager probably would not be bothered about, or would not be interested in the deployment status. He or she will more be interested in the test cycle, the how many the test plans, the test pack, how is the test execution going on, right? A work stream lead probably will not be, would be again not deployment order, but will be more focused on how, during the release phase, how is the a feature going on, because feature will carry your transfer, right? So probably he or she would want to see it from a feature perspective, okay, so how many features for my work stream, maybe there are maybe there are 28 features, okay, 28 features. So how many are in realization, how many are in development, right? What in specification, so that probably he or she would want to see, right? As a scrum master, as a project manager, probably you would want to see from a user story perspective, right? So how many user stories are there, how many are being worked upon, what are how many user points have been completed in that aspect. In some, obviously the project manager would want to see the overview complete. So different people with different role sets will have different needs, right? From the same tool and from the same data, they would want to see it in a different way, right? So that capability Cloud ALM gives you that. And obviously as a team member also, you want to see your tester, okay, how many test cases are assigned to me, if they are dependent, right? So what is the status of that particular test case or that particular task, or no, whatever that could be, right? So how does this? So if you remember, I have been telling that all the things, user story, requirement, project task, feature, everything has a status, right? Every entity has some statuses assigned to it, and how this whole reporting and analytics works is based on those status of those particular entities or those particular objects. Because there is no, if you see, there is no automatic actions or actions reactions kind of a setup, that if I change this, that changed, right? Even in test cases, it is not like that. If I change if you change the status of your test case, the test plan status, it's not like that. If all the test cases within a test plan are prepared, so it means okay, now the test plan is in testing. No, it doesn't work in that way in Cloud ALM. So you have to make sure, and that has to be enforced as a process, that whatever entities, whatever you are working on, objects, make sure you are keeping the status as close to the current state. Obviously, every time it is not possible and there could be a delay, but that is understood. But obviously, the aim should be 100%, but to be realistic, 100% is very unrealistic. So in the sense that, because it's again manual, right? Something is dependent on something. Like, let's suppose test plan is getting created by a test manager, test lead, or test cases are being created by the testers, right? So testers, once they update the test status to prepared, test cases prepared, then the test lead can move the test plan to in testing, right? So it is dependent. Once it does, so it is not like I have done it, the tester has done it, has moved all the test cases to prepared, and probably he or she might have informed his or her lead that okay, I have done. But even then, so there would be a delay, right? You inform ping or whatever, sit and you tell, okay, I have moved all my test cases to prepared, now you can move the test plan to in testing, something on that line, right? So then the lead will also take some time, right, to figure out, right? It's not like, so there would be a delay. It could be a day, right? Obviously, the people will have other work also, right? And this is reporting, or from a project management perspective, right? So they could, so 100% obviously we should aim, but realistic it is unrealistic. So what should we aim is around, even if we are somewhere around 75 to 80%, we are good. And it is, yeah, to start with, obviously it's a new tool, new UI. It is not difficult, but a bit would feel like an overhead, a bit overwhelming. But once you are used to it, it will become it would take seconds for you. And plus, if in the long run, that this is going to help you itself in your work, right? You would not feel pressure. You would have a clear understanding where is the project going, how is if everyone, obviously if everyone is following the process, not even, I'm not saying to follow the process to the T, but at least 70 to 80% somewhere, right? The requirement is in specification. Once it is in realization, then the user story we create, and then user story, then a feature gets created, and once the feature gets completed, you complete your user story, then you eventually, in deployment, you complete your requirement as well, right? So everything is interrelated, but someone has to keep making sure the statuses are corrected at each step. And because it won't be one person who is responsible for all of these, user story would responsible with the developer, feature would be with probably with the lead, because you would need some level of control over how the features are moved. So it will be with the business process owner, or customers would like to have that control with them, that they would like to have the authority to change the status of the features. So probably it is then dependent on the feature that the feature status is changed, and the test cases, right? So tester, test manager, test lead, right? There are different people involved. So just everyone has to do their part of the job or part of the process more or less correctly. So then it should run smoothly, and in a longer run, it is going to help, and it is actually going to save you time. Like, obviously, initially when you start, you will think it is overhead, right? Okay, again, I have to go. It's done. Requirement is approved. I got a mail, or for that matter, documentation, right? Okay, I got the document. I have updated in SharePoint, right? Then again, why do I need to go there in documents and create? I'm just taking a basic example. Why I have to create a record? I can't upload it there. I'll just create kind of a record, and again create a reference to this SharePoint only. So why to do that, right? But if you do that, you will be able, maybe after 3 months, 4 months down the line, you only can track it. Okay, for which requirement or which business process have we completed the documentation, because you are going to create a record, right? In SharePoint you will not be able, because you are not going to, you can do it, but probably it would be like create a work process folder within that, work stream folder within that, your business process within that, approved in review folders, right? I hope we do that, we did that, right? Once there, we work with two folders, in review, approved. In review we keep the documents first, we share the SharePoint links or the document to the SharePoint link only, so that we can work together. The customer or the business persona from the client side, or whoever is the reviewer, they review the changes, they give you, once everything is approved, then you move it to that approved folder, right? Or maybe you change the naming convention of that file to underscore approved. We used to use this kind of setup, right? In most, some, at least I have worked in this kind of projects. I'm not sure about others. So that, if you do this in this document part, it becomes very easy, right? You can easily just change the status. There's one time you just have to upload, and then you just have to keep changing in review, and it's released. Once it's approved, you can release it, and that's it. And so you have a record of this project, this, and you can see from the history, right? In every section, you see on the right topmost corner, you have that history icon. So you click on it, you have, for audit purpose, you can that, okay, no, this was approved, that's why I released it, right? So you can do that. You have audited for each and every change you do. So in that way, it helps you, in the longer run, because no project is going to run like 3 months or 6 months. If you're in a project, you probably will start and probably will finish if you're throughout the life cycle, a year or so, right? At least a year, right? If you are there from the starting. So in a year, many things will change. You will forget things, you will not be able to track things. So that helps. Like, I just took an example of the document section, but other sections also help you in that way, right? Like test cases, you create one test case, you might have multiple iterations, even when, so you can use the same test case, so again and again, right? You just have to create one, and okay, now to track it, okay, but it is one test case I'm running, so you just create one test plan. So then that test plan you just assign the same test case. It will have, for within that test plan, for that test case execution, every test execution run will have a separate record, right? So you can bifurcate then, okay, when we ran this test case as part of this test plan, during UAT or SAT or FUT, okay, this was you had the record, the execution run record is there, right? Otherwise it will be difficult to track, right? If you have one test case and you keep running it, you give, when did we run it, for what purpose, at what time, right? You will not have that clarity, or you have to maybe maintain it somewhere, that this test run we did it on May for this purpose, this was the result in Excel or in Word document, right? Everything you can do that in your Cloud ALM itself. It's just that you just make that test case a part of a test plan.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
And test plan you can have, for different iterations or different modules, depending on, and from there you can segregate, right? Okay, let's see what had happened during the testing cycle of FUT for this test case. You can see that. So you will have record for each testing separate. It will create separate test execution records for each time the test case is run. So these things it leverages, right? Okay, so that this was coming, that all the changes or the application, whatever is there, it sends those information to the analytics framework, right? A status has changed, right? Something has changed. All those kind of events are sent to in the backend, sends to the analytical framework. From there you are able to drill down, right, the state, right? So all of these, like I change the requirement, right? The status has to, so in background, the status or that information comes to the analytics section, the analytics page. Okay. And from there you can create your, you can see it in dashboard form and reports, right? You can pull down a report, so different things, right? Again, project reporting. Again, it gives you, summarized reports about the project. You can view, at a sprint level also, your requirements, or you have that view. You can view the project progress in terms of task or user stories, like from a sprint perspective. From a sprint, how is it, how is the project progressing from a user? How many user stories were assigned to this sprint? So how it is happening, right? So again, outlines, the total number of tasks, completed task, unassigned task, whatever you have from task project, it will assign you roadmap tasks, right? Which comes with roadmap, with the roadmap. So those tasks are there itself. They will, if you're not using it, will show up as unassigned, right? So it's again fine whether you want to use them or not, but it will show up in your reporting, right? And obviously, you can just check out a user filter and strike it out that I don't want to see roadmap stack because I'm not using them, right? So, and obviously you can visualize them in analytics tab. You can have charts, burned out charts, and tabular data, whatever you feel like. Okay. Again, detailed analytics for task and requirement distribution. So to monitor, so distribution analysis is nothing but your requirement or your task get distributed, like requirement would be distributed in sense your different business process will have requirements, so it is distributed across the solution process or your task, right? Either you create a task for the requirement, a project task or user story, whatever it could be, right? So you can filter it out, what are the requirements, what are the tasks, depending how you want to see it, right? This we'll see in the demo that it will become more clear. Traceability, as I was saying, so it helps you to know that diagram which was there earlier, right? Like from the solution process till the user stories or test case, that traceability is there for that particular, the whole cycle, that whole requirement of that whole solution business process. You will have a traceability, and you can see it at each level, at feature level, at user story level, at requirement level for the solution process, right? It's because eventually all of these, like obviously when the requirement is completed, when your user story is completed, your testing is done, your test case is completed, finished, test plan is finished. When all of these are completed or you're finished, then only your project is going to. It means your project is going towards the finish line. Will going towards the. So it all of these contribute to the progress. Let's suppose you create a requirement, you create a user story, testing, everything you do, but you are not maintaining the statuses. So it is, you will never know what is actually happening. It could be that you never know what is happening, what is the state of requirement, whether you want to take any action or not, whether you just see, okay, there are requirements, no one is updating it, there are user stories, no one is updating anything in the user stories, no nothing, right? So how would you come to know of the progress of the project, right? So you have to make sure that this all these all these are updated. Obviously it could how to put, like it could differ from project to project, but more or less the crux remains the same, that requirement you have to, like, in a sense, that requirement approval, right? As you remember, we don't have a very, at least to, we don't have a workflow of approval thing, right, in requirement, right? So it could be that it could be not misused, but it could be missed, right? People don't do that, right? Because it is not stopping someone, or it is not dependent, or nothing is dependent on the requirements, it is, but that you have to enforce that, okay, no, in the requirement you have to make sure the statuses are correct in requirement, in the whether if you need an approval, so you put it in in approval, and then you request for the requester who is going to approve. He will come, obviously he and she will come and change the status there itself. But in the history, in the audit trail, you can see that yeah, I requested approval, it was approved by the concerned person, so now I'm moving it to in realization phase, the requirement, right? So you have it's documented, right, somewhere. But yeah, it is not like very mature that okay, you will have emails, or it will, then unless the requirement is not approved or it is not put in realization phase, you cannot start your user story, you cannot start it, or you can start it, right? So it's just that's why it becomes more important that the process is followed, so that because nothing is compulsory, there is no compulsory. If you see, maximum fields, maximum options, all are options basically. So as Cloud ALM gives you that flexibility, how do you want to use this, right? You could like, okay, no, I want every field to be filled, right? Work stream, assigned person, concerned person, responsible team, user role, team role. I want all the fields to be assigned, filled up in the, user points, timeline. It should be assigned to a sprint, whatever it could be. You have to define, okay, take a template, you must have, right? When you start a project, even for transport, we have a naming convention. Transport should be named in such a way that it is easily understandable, like for which project, for which module, for which, sub module, or for whether it is for a defect or new configuration or a change or something, right? So you have a naming convention, like the first two letters would define the module, then the maybe W2, wave, or if you're using release or sprint, whatever it could be, right? Wave 1, W1 underscore S2 sprint 2. So it's like this for this module within wave 1 for sprint 2, and then a short description what we are doing to know, or for the business process for which you maybe 3 letter, 4 letter something, or 3 letter, you have that alternate name for the business, you can put that, and a short description something, but you define it in the right, that this would be the naming convention, right? That this would be the naming convention for the transports which will be created in the project, right? So since that has to be followed, right, there is no control on that, in the sense that you can't put any constraint as such on the system. If they don't do it, if you create something else, it won't allow you to create the transport. No, there is no control like that, right? So that has to be enforced. Similarly, all of these has to be enforced, right? Like, okay, we are going to have make sure these fields have to be filled and have to fill properly, so that reporting becomes easier, whatever it could be, right, in your project. So once that is done, you will have this analytics, or this whole project overview becomes more helpful. And that is fine. Then test reporting, obviously the main, you have a separate test analytics also for test reporting. So you can, monitor your text execution, the status of your text execution, manual or automated test cases, their corresponding defects, right? Because you want to, at least testing is important, at least for, because that's the more as the last, you are towards the end, right? At least you are in the second half, maybe you are in the second half of your project, right? So testing is very important, at least customers give more importance, right? So you want to track, okay, if the testing is going fine, every test case is got created within time, test plans are created, execution are running as per the plan, so that that details will come on the test report. You can have a very detailed drill down for your test reporting, right? Obviously it will help your test manager, test whoever wants to have a view on how the testing is going. It will give the testing analytic gives a very detailed view on how how the testing is going on. Since you are able to assign testers to test case within a test plan, you can also manage, or see the progress of the for a particular tester, how he or she is progressing, how the testing is going for a particular tester, right? If there is some challenge, if some testing tester, for if you see for a tester, there are more pending test cases, so maybe you can assign, redistribute the test cases to someone else, so that it finishes in time. So that, because people usually don't come up and say that, okay, no, I am facing issue, or there will be a delay, until unless you ask them that, okay, will it be complete, why, or when you, and that is our nature, by nature, before the deadline we only ask, we don't ask in between that, okay, is it going as per the plan, and you will be able to complete within the deadline. And even if you ask, people usually don't know, and like, yeah, we'll complete it, right? So you can have that view. You don't have to go into discussion. You can have that view that, okay, how this tester has this many test cases, how it is progressing, right? And then maybe based on that data, you can have change of plan. Maybe you can assign, or if you see everyone is, it could be that the test cases even are assigned are more in number. People are taking more time, so maybe you have to onboard few testers urgently, right? Or maybe in wave 1 or wave 2 you got that information, so probably for next wave or next release you have planned two additional testers, or two additional testers, three additional testers, or it could be module wise, right? There was, it is not that every module, every work stream will have the same kind of work, right? So one module will be big, one small. So it could be that you need more people with, testing background with that particular module or domain, right? So this all comes from that historical data, right? You can say, okay, last time, last wave, or last sprint, what was the issue. Okay, for this module we had more number of test cases, so we have to assign more number of people. And people who were assigned were not, I'm not saying them, but they were not familiar or no, they were not very. So we need someone with that module background who has worked, in this module or this domain testing, right? So then that can come from the your historical data, your historical reports, right? So then, but for this you also have to maintain everything in place, right? So again, you can perform project progress reporting, where basically it's for the PMO team or the project team, that you can have a burn down chart, basically a visualization of how the project is currently state. So that view also you can get from the cloud LM. Not necessarily you'll have to create it. Gives you the standard view if you want. It's not necessarily, you can use that for your steering committee meetings or your weekly meetings, your WSR, weekly service reports, whatever it could be, right? So that gives you, it is more for PMO project managers, but it's good to know, right? So you have rundown charts, all of these. We'll see this in the demo. Okay, same like different kind of visualizations you can create in the analytics depending on what is your requirement. Like you have weekly, monthly calls, cadence calls, steering calls. Now you have different data you need as work stream leads, as PMO. You have to give data. So those, all those details you can kind of perform through the analytics page, and maybe if that suffices, you can use them rather than creating it in your, putting effort creating it in a PPT, right? So that saves a lot of time. Yeah, but probably this won't be for all, but probably for the project managers, PMO, the work stream leads, right? And probably for the team members also, like work stream, if you work get assigned that you can you please share the make work on the status weekly. So maybe you can come here and maybe see if the visualization, the burn charts, the different tables, and the which cloud LM gives, will that suffice? Means in most cases it would probably will suffice, until unless you have a very specific, or the customer wants to see in a specific format or a specific template, then probably you'll have to create it. But you can use the or you can use the live analytics. No, instead of sharing, instead of creating a PPT, you can actually use it, and the analytics, the project view base, to show the overview of the customer. You can obviously beforehand save it the view which you want to show, and have you can show that in the call itself. No need to create any documents or anything, right? It can be like, I don't know if some of you have worked with Focus Build has a solution readiness dashboard type, and we have done where we have actually gone with that dashboard with to the customer, to for weekly calls, for monthly calls. We started with that, and they were okay with that because it more or less covers everything whatever they want. So in the same way, and compared to Focus Build solution readiness dashboard, the analytics capability of cloud LM is much higher. You can have a lot many things, you can add a lot many things, you remove cards, you can manage the cards a lot many, then you can drill down to what level, and you don't have to do it at that point of view. You can just save it as a view, and you can just keep on changing the views, and you can have it in the live call itself. You don't have to go to any, you don't have to prepare basically any PPT. That's what I'm trying to say. Obviously you'll have you will have to, they also want to know how many tasks, how many requirements, how many user stories. So all of these you can show them, and at a very detailed level. It's just that you beforehand you just create the view which they want to see, right? You save it as your view, and just during the call you can use those views to show them what they want, right? End of the day, they just want to see the data, right? Irrespective whether it comes in a PPT or comes in the form of in live, and that would be more I would say attractive to them, that okay, it's coming live from the system, no one is preparing it, right? So there's no chance of covering up the basis in that sense, right? So they'll see the live data from the system in cloud LM with whatever view they want, so that it becomes more appealing to them, right? So that you can use it, right? Okay, again, you can do a task trend analysis, like, and task are like requirement is a task, user story is a task. So all of this, so you can do a task trend analysis. I'll show that in the demo, that a proper trend analysis which you do you do in Excel. You bring up information into your Excel, and then you do a trend analysis. Similar kind of thing you can do, and drill down to the minutest details for any of the task objects, any of the task types, and you can have a view, right? User stories, projects, roadmap tasks. Obviously, if you're using roadmap tasks, you can have a view of that as well, right? So that is fine. Again, same is for explore the traceability of each features. Your development is dependent on the feature, so you would like to have, okay, where are my features, what is the traceability for this user story, which feature. So you have that view that you can, like as I said, from a requirement you can have a traceability for your feature also, right? So that option is there, right? So you can have multiple options, multiple views, and depending on your requirement, depending what suits you better, right? So if you want to see the traceability of a feature or a task from a solution process level or a requirement process level, you can do that. Okay.